Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS news for Monday, March 15. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says as of March 13, government will allow burials and cremations under certain circumstances. The national ban on burials remains in effect until March 22. Mr. McKenzie says burials or cremations will be allowed for bodies that are in an advanced state of decomposition, bodies which have been recommended for immediate burial by the appropriate health authorities, and for indigent persons who die in state care. Mr. McKenzie was quick to add that in these circumstances, only the clergy will be allowed to administer the final rites. No family gathering will be allowed. In a bid to crack down on flouting the ban on funerals and burials, municipal corporations will not be issuing interment orders, which are needed to effect burials. Approval has been given to the Registrar General's Department to issue burial orders after receiving death certificates once the ban has been lifted. However, processing may begin a few days before the ban on March 15. Continuing with news on the RGD, the Registrar General's Department has begun its drive to issue electronic death certificates and burial orders. The move is in line with the agency's modernization plans. RGD CEO Charlton McFarlane says the online system also removes the need for face-to-face interaction, which limits the spread of COVID-19. In explaining the process, Mr. McFarlane says when a hospital death occurs, a family member of the deceased may request a medical cause of death certificate. The on-site RGD registration officer will then collect the information directly from the hospital.
It allows us to effect a death registration, and it allows us to issue an electronic burial order. So that family member of the deceased would get a notification, electronic notification, to advise them that the burial order was issued. They will be given certain credentials, and then now they will be instructed to go on the RGD's website, enter those credentials, and authenticate the burial order.
In other news, the Ministry of Health and Wellness says between March 14 and 19, only healthcare workers and members of the security forces will be inoculated with the COVID-19 vaccine. The ministry is urging persons in other categories not to turn up at the vaccination sites across the island. Under Phase 1 of the island's COVID-19 vaccine implementation plan, the focus will be on healthcare workers and members of the Jamaica Defense and Constabulary Forces. The ministry says the vast majority of appointments will be reserved for this crucial segment of the population, which is on the front line of the nation's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Still on health, persons who have been inoculated with the COVID-19 vaccine will be monitored by the Ministry of Health. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton gave the commitment Thursday at the weekly COVID Conversations virtual press conference.
We will track the persons here in Jamaica that receive the vaccine, as we have done, to show the actual impact. And so far, so good.
The island received its first 50,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccines on March 8 and began its vaccination program on March 10. Minister Tufton reiterated the state's plan to continue with the World Health Organization-approved AstraZeneca vaccine after some countries temporarily paused their rollout of the vaccine.
Our position is that we remain committed to the vaccine and the efficacy of the vaccine as stated or outlined by the experts at the WHO. The vaccine has been administered to millions of persons so far around the world, and we have not had incidents that could change that expert view that it is an effective and safe vaccine.
Cabinet has approved the disbursement of $800,000 as the voluntary contribution to the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. This follows approval for the Ministry of Health and Wellness to enter into an agreement with PAHO for the provision of technical assistance in strengthening Jamaica's health systems and services through a voluntary contribution.
PAHO will provide technical assistance in the development of the primary health care policy and strategic plan and the development of an implementation plan for strengthening the steering role of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The assistance will also streamline the functions of the regional health authorities, conduct a needs assessment for health technologies, and the development of a health technology assessment framework in the public health sector.
Information Minister Favour Williams was speaking at a recent post-cabinet press briefing. The agreement will also see the development of the Human Resources of Health Gap Analysis and Action Plan, a strategic 5-year policy, and the review of the National Public Health Laboratories. Minister Williams, meanwhile, says Cabinet has approved the supply and installation of 175 hospital beds for the Southeast Regional Health Authority. This will be carried out at a cost of $70.89 million. And finally, Culture Minister Olivia Grange has hailed the posthumous victory of reggae legend Toots Hibbert at Sunday's Grammy Awards as a great moment of celebration. Toots and the Maytals won the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album with Got to Be Tough. Minister Grange says she's very pleased to hear that Toots had won the Reggae Grammy, noting that he put his all into the album. The album won ahead of One World by the Wailers, Upside Down 2020 by Buju Banton, Higher Place by Skip Marley, and It All Comes Back to Love by Maxi Priest. Minister Grange congratulated all the nominees. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.